So before the video begins, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to come right out of the gate and make my intentions 100% clear here in this video. I want this video to be one of the cleanest and most balanced videos I've ever made, because this right here is a video that involves a subject that has meant a great deal to me ever since I was first born, and this has to do with mental illness. Now, before I go any further here with the main topic here of this video, I would like to preface a couple of very, very important disclaimers here, so that way you guys know what direction this video is going in. And disclaimer number one is that I will not be monetizing this video for all intents and purposes, as a video like this is not my usual style of content. If you guys are familiar with my channel, you would know that I play a fictional character known as MegaCrasher for entertainment and inspiration purposes, and the main theme around this channel is Pokemon/entertainment/reaction. I do a lot of things here on this channel, but even though I have spoken about mental health and, my experiences with mental illness and stuff like that in previous videos, I would like to, make this very clear that this is going to be a very important video that I am, in fact, going to be making. And I want to be as professional and as to the point as possible. Now, the second disclaimer that I would like to make here is that even though this video, is derived from, I guess you could say, a response to what took place earlier on Twitter, this video is not meant to bash or witch hunt anybody, so please, I beg you guys, settle down. I don't want you guys to go around bashing down on anyone, because the purpose of this video is not to incite hatred. It's not to target anybody. But this right here is to kind of give my 2 cents and my response in regards to, I'm going to say his name, Keemstar. And I know that, his name sparks a lot of controversy when it comes to the YouTube community, but, even though what I'm going to be addressing here is controversial, I would like to make it very, very abundantly clear that I hold no ill will towards anybody. That's not who I am in real life. Even though I myself have my own struggles, I would like to think that, sometimes I have, a little bit of an issue with anger. But then again, that's because there are very few things in life that is like a hair trigger for me, and when it comes to things like mental illness, that is a very nerve-touching sort of subject, I pretty much do everything I can to tread carefully when it comes to that subject. Now, with that being said, again, I'd like to reiterate, please do not go and send hate to anybody, because that's not the purpose of this video. In fact, what I want to encourage is to spread the message of positivity and spread the message of the fact that it's okay to be different. It is okay to have your struggles, and by that, I'm saying it's okay to be you. And the reason I can say that is because of the fact that I myself, based on my own experiences, can say that, from the bottom of my heart, it's genuinely okay to, just not only be you, to be different, but also it's okay to come out and say what it is you're struggling with, whether it is something to do with a physical disability, with an emotional disability, mental disability, etc. And one of the focuses here in this situation is social anxiety. Now, let me give you guys a very, very, very brief rundown as to what it is, and it goes like this. Social anxiety is nervousness in social situations. Some disorders associated with the social anxiety spectrum involves anxiety disorders, mood disorders, autism, eating disorders, and substance use disorders. Now, that's taken right from the Wikipedia page, and here's the thing. Is that for those, and there's a lot of you guys that know this, because I've spoken about this subject in particular quite a few times here on my channel, and that's autism. I was diagnosed with high-functioning autism when I was 4 years old. And I haven't been seeing my psychiatrist in a number of years, because I've matured into a fully functional adult. Even though I do still have, high functioning autism and stuff like that, I'm still very much functional, just like, the next adult, you know what I'm saying? But I was seeing someone by the name of Dr. Valerie Corkum, growing up. And she, as well as my family and my close friends, as well as my teachers growing up, can all attest to the fact that I myself had social anxiety, because I found it very, very difficult to articulate myself properly. I was always stuttering. I was always saying like a lot. And this was really, really bad, but I could not make eye contact because social situations intimidated the hell out of me. It made me very anxious. It made me just feel very awkward. And, you know, that's a part of the autism spectrum that was very prevalent in me at the time, right? Now, even still, you know, I tend to struggle a wee bit still, even me being 28 years old, I still tend to struggle a little bit in social situations and, you know, just from making videos. You know, there are times that I've actually had to redo intros or I've had to redo segments in videos because I would get jumbled up, I would stutter a lot, I would, you know, and ha a lot and stuff like that. So, you know, I always, you know, do the best I can to make sure that when my videos are the final product, when I edit everything, that I am, you know, playing the video back and I come off as very articulate, I come off as very, you know, well-spoken and stuff like that. I've had a lot of you guys in the comments, you know, in the past tell me that, you know, I'm very well-spoken, you know, I can articulate my sentences very properly, and I really appreciate that, you know. I feel like I've come a long way. YouTube has definitely been a very, very helpful outlet when it comes to my maturity. You know, back in, say, 2012, you know, when I first started YouTube just as a hobby, I still, you know, even, like, looking back, I could not believe how cringeworthy I was when it came to speaking. And I don't mean that in an offensive way. I'm just talking about, like, you know, I'm cringing at the fact, you know, I'm like, man, I was struggling that badly? You know, yeah, it wasn't good. You know what I'm saying? It really wasn't good. You know, and that was when I was in my 20s and stuff like that. Well, I'm still in my 20s. I'm 28, but, you know, back in 2012, excuse me, I was, you know, 21 going on 22. You know, I still had, you know, my issues with social anxiety and stuff like that. I also, you know, have been diagnosed with anxiety in general because I have to take medications for it because I have panic attack and anxiety disorders and stuff like that, right? And it also has to do with the fact I've been battling depression over, you know, the last 10 plus years. But this right here, you know, I want to reiterate the fact that this is not, you know, a way for me to, you know, get you guys to, you know, pity me and stuff like that. This right here, you know, is to give a direct message to everyone out there, including Keemstar, to say, look, you know, don't be afraid to come out and, you know, talk about what you're struggling with. You know, it's okay that you're struggling with, you know, these mental illnesses, okay? Like, it happens to the best of us. I'll give an example right now. Mystic7, he's a very big advocate for mental health, and I gotta say, you know, despite the fact that the guy gets, you know, flack here and there, like, he's a Pokemon Go YouTuber with a 1.6 or 1.7 million subscribers, I can't exactly remember. He's very big, point being, he's very, very big. I look up to him, you know, not just for his content, but I look up to him as a man. The guy is a very big advocate when it comes to bettering yourself in terms of mental health. And I highly doubt that he would ever see this video, but Mystic, I just want to say, you know, thank you for being an inspiration. Not just to me, but to the thousands and the thousands of people that watch your content. So, you know, I just want to, you know, say thank you. Seriously, thank you. Now, the thing is that, you know, getting back to responding to Keemstar here, you know, when he tweeted, you know, a bunch of things earlier, you know, there was some stuff that I said in response, and I was not happy about it at all because, you know, how it came off. Actually, rather than me trying to, you know, talk you guys through it without any visuals, let's actually go ahead and cut the video here, and let me jump to some screenshots here for you. Alright guys, so what I have here is a screenshot of a tweet that Keemstar had actually deleted, and I'm going to go over the reasoning why here in a short second, just afford about 30 seconds more of your time here. So, he says, and I quote, "The drug companies invent all these illnesses so they could sell drugs to morons. Social anxiety 100% is a fake invented illness. So they can sell you drugs and make millions. Stop being weak. Society is literally going to die if you keep this bullshit up." Now, this tweet right here, this was pretty much the beginning of a mass amount of just, it was just absolute insanity, and I came across this on my Twitter feed, and I'm just like, is he trolling? Or is this guy being a complete dunce right now? Like, is he actually saying this because he believes it in his heart? Or is he saying this to elicit a reaction? Or perhaps, as I've had actually a couple of you may have pointed out, you guys may have suggested that the reason why he said this in the first place was to pretty much give a reminder to everyone that's like, look, there are people out there who think like this. There are people out there who say things like this. And Keemstar pretty much wanted to, I guess, like, remind everyone to say, look, there are people out there that say these nasty, nasty things. And I'm not entirely sure if that was his intent. If that was his intent, the impact had an adverse effect. I'm just going to say that. I don't know if you guys remember back in my old days as MegaCrasher, the 2015 channel, but I spoke about intent and impact. It doesn't matter so much what your intentions are if the impact is completely different, intent and impact. But with that said, let's actually go ahead and click off here. And this was what he said. He said, I deleted this tweet because I guess I don't actually believe this. A small percentage of people have severe social anxiety, which is truth. But when I do a poll and 50% claim they have social anxiety, then for most of that 50%, that illness has been invented. It can't be true. A little bit of a typo there. But you see, here's the thing, is that it actually is true, because there are people out there who, not only have social anxiety, but are actually coming out of the woodwork, are actually coming forth and being very brave about it and responding here, saying, look, I have social anxiety, and, this is why, kind of thing, right? Now, with that being said, I had actually responded. If I can actually just pull this tweet up, give me a second. Now, this was the same tweet that I responded to, which he had since deleted. Let me just go ahead and enlarge this real quick. Normally, I've got nothing to say when it comes to you, but this is one of the most bullshit things anyone has ever said. There is nothing fake about mental illness like social anxiety. Maybe if you or a close friend went through this, you'd not be saying dumb shit like this with, facepalm emoji, which, at the time, not only was it a reactionary sort of tweet, but it was something that I genuinely felt in my heart, and still do, but without the the heat behind it, right? Because I was heated when I saw that. I was upset. I was just like, pardon my French, I was like, what the fuck are you doing, man? Like, this is not cool. Like, why would you say that, right? And it was a big shock to me, because, and the reason I responded the way that I did was because growing up, I have dealt with people that were exactly like how he acted in that tweet, whether it was intentionally meant to elicit a reaction, or if this was something that he genuinely felt, which I'm not going to make any assumptions on, but, I'm just saying, like, with attitudes that was highlighted in that tweet right there was a raw, nerve-touching reminder of what I went through growing up. Because, when I had my struggles with autism and my struggles with social situations and social anxiety, I was mocked and made fun of like you wouldn't believe. I'm not going to go too much into detail about it. I mean, if you're curious about, my full history and all that stuff, do some looking up on my channel and take a look at my other videos where I address things like autism and mental health. So growing up, like I was saying, I was going through really, really rough patches with, my dealings with autism. It was more prevalent the younger I was, because of the fact that, growing up, I couldn't properly articulate or communicate any sentences, My best way of communication was acting out in ways where I was imitating Nintendo characters, to try to get my message across. And also, as a result, over time, people would pretend to be my friend. People would talk crap about me behind my back, make fun of me. And then, when it would get back to me and stuff like that, I would be straight in denial. But when the truth actually hit me, it hurt. It actually hurt. I was made fun of a whole bunch, Even people that claimed that they were my best friend, they would make fun of me. They would send me messages calling me autism freak or autistic retard and things like that. I even had someone here on YouTube with a big influence call me a raging autist and then turn around and claim that he didn't know I was autistic, when I just think, even still, I think that's complete bullshit, but that's in the past. But the reason I bring that up is to kind of illustrate an example that, even nowadays, I still am a target when it comes to criticism on my disabilities, we'll call it, even though we can't really call it criticism, because when you think about criticism, you think about, hey, let me help you out, let me give you a word of advice. No, like, that's more like destructive words right there, right? Like, when you mock someone for having a disability and you're playing ignorance to the fact that mental illness is in fact a real thing and you shouldn't make fun of it, So carrying on, ladies and gentlemen, let's keep on going here. So the other tweet that I had responded to, which, I'll pull up my response in a brief moment, was something else that kind of tripped a raw nerve with me again, in pretty much the same moment, because again, this right here was very reminiscent of the kind of attitude and behavior that I dealt with in high school. So it brought along automatically a lot of bad memories, So Keemstar was saying, so basically what I gathered from you all is that it's trendy to have a mental illness in 2019. I am autistic, dyslexic, social anxiety, bipolar, sociopathic, narcissistic, OCD, schizophrenic, PTSD, ADHD, manic, alcoholic, dementia, gnome, and cooler than you. Now, at this point, I thought he had completely taken the piss. I thought he just was, at this point, just going all in and not even giving a flying fig about anyone's feelings. I thought that this was him, just saying these grotesque sort of stuff, just to flex, just to show that hey, I have all this influence and stuff like that. I'm gonna spread a bad message. And at that time, I was thinking you have millions of followers and even more millions of subscribers on YouTube, and this is the message that you're sending to your audience, man. What? You got a lot of kids that watch him, man. And this right here is what I said, if we can go ahead and pull this up here. I said, there is nothing trendy about having a mental illness. We don't have it by choice. We suffer through it because that's just how life is. Just because mental illness is common does not make it trendy or something to laugh at. Educate yourself before spouting off asinine comments. And the thing is, that came from the heart, because at that time, I was responding to words, I was responding to words that really just, it like I said, it tripped a raw nerve with me, Now, with that being said, if we fast forward here to this very point, he had actually deleted the initial tweet that pretty much started this whole thing to begin with. We can just go back here to his profile here. The thing is, right, is that, he was saying a lot of things in response to people here, but if we actually go ahead and scroll up here a little bit, one second, sorry about this. Okay, here we go. Sorry about that. Want to play this video here that Keemstar uploaded here. I hope I can be afforded to play this video out in full, so that way I can kind of illustrate my next point here.
This all started because last night I posted a tweet explaining that I went to the mall on a Friday, which is payday, which is when people should be going to the mall, and there was no one there. And I said something along the lines that Amazon has killed the American malls. A guy responded to me and said, I don't think it's Amazon. I don't think the reason why the mall is empty is due to Amazon. I think it's because so many people are suffering from social anxiety. That triggered me. I thought that it was the most stupidest thing I have ever heard of. So I responded to the guy, and I was quite a jerk about it. I said, not everyone is a nerd like you. And of course, this caused a lot of other people to say angry stuff. And a lot of people saying that they suffer from social anxiety. So that's how this all started. And I'm just like, no, there's not this many people suffering from social anxiety. This is anxiety, social anxiety, even panic attacks. I feel are normal. Everyone I know has a panic attack at some point.
All right, I'm actually going to pause the video right here, ladies and gentlemen, because I just kind of want to touch base on something here. Now, when it comes to mental illnesses and stuff like that, it has a lot to do with the chemical imbalances in the brain, right? Now, given the fact that, I've told you guys about the fact that I suffer through anxiety and panic attacks, I have to be on medication for the rest of my life, potentially because of the fact that if I don't, then, when the medication wears off, I'm unstable. Even like the most smallest of things, that normally wouldn't trip me into having an anxiety or panic attack will just like make me go from 0 to 60 right there. I remember one time, this happened back in 2014. I don't even remember how this came about. Like, I don't think there was even any particular trigger to me having a bad anxiety attack. But it got to the point where I had a really bad anxiety attack and my heart was racing to the point where I thought I was like fucking dying, and I'm not lying. My mom can attest to that. She was worried up and down. I couldn't go into work the next day because I was fucked up. I was not well. And the thing is also is that I had to, I almost had an ambulance called because of how bad it was. But I spoke to one of those on-call nurses, the 24/7 nurse that we have down here. And she talked me down, she calmed me down, and I was better. But the thing is that, anxiety and panic attack disorders, they're a real thing, okay? There's nothing, that, when I say this with all due respect, it's common. It's common for people to have breakdowns, but it's not normal because there's imbalances, chemical imbalances in the brain, and this is speaking from experience. There's things in this place, in this world, that is not normal. But just because it's not normal doesn't mean it's uncommon. Things like disabilities, they are very, very common. Are they normal? No. Hence why they're called disabilities, because in some way, shape, and form, it's hindering your ability to live a quote-unquote normal life. And here's the thing, is that just because you have disabilities doesn't make you, any less of a person. It doesn't make you a mutant or abnormal to the point where, you can't live on your own, this, that, everything else, And I've had a lot of people telling me that I'm not going to amount to anything, that, I ain't shit, that I'm not normal, that I'm going to be a loser for the rest of my life. Fuck that, man. I'm a winner all day.
It's not a mental illness. This is more normal than an illness. And that's kind of what sparked this whole conversation.
Now, I do apologize for pausing again, but it is, in fact, a mental illness. In fact, you pretty much just you just proved my point right there, where I said that it is, in fact, a mental illness. And even though it's common, it's not normal. But you're saying that it is. Well, just to make sure I'm not mincing my words, let's go back a little bit.
Attack at some point. This is not a mental illness. This is more normal.
No, it is, in fact, a mental illness, Keem. It is a mental illness. Please get your facts right before speaking on a sensitive subject like this.
Then an illness. And that's kind of what sparked this whole conversation. I did a poll on Twitter, and 50%, roughly 50%, 46%, 48%, whatever, are saying they have social anxiety. No, this cannot be true. So I'm making a documentary on this. Because if this is the case, that 50% of us have a mental illness, crazy. Okay. So if you are suffering from social anxiety and make a YouTube video titled Keemstar, I Suffer from Social Anxiety. I am watching a bunch of these right now, and I want to make a whole documentary about this. If this is a real thing, then we need to talk about it more.
Okay, so that's the end of the video right there. Now, Keemstar, or, if I can be afforded to, Dan, since I'm, coming at you as Corey, not as MegaCrasher, so this is Corey talking to you, not MegaCrasher, and this is talking to you, Dan, not Keemstar, the character, the online persona. The reason why it's becoming more and more common these days where people are suffering through mental illness is because of the fact that not only do we not live in the dark ages anymore, but we live in a day and age where people are free to express what they want to express. And the thing is that one of those things that people express quite often is them opening themselves up to their past, opening themselves up to the people that they care about and talk about their struggles, And I am someone that's an example of that. I'm someone that has made countless videos talking about my experiences, talking about my struggles. And even to this day, there's still a lot more for me to talk about. Am I going to talk about it here at this point in time? No, because then this video would drag out way too long and it would lose its main purpose, which is a response to you, Dan. Now, with that being said here, if you are in fact serious about making a documentary, then if you can be afforded to, then if you end up watching my video, I will gladly take part in this documentary, and anything that you want to do to help aid people into not only being better people, but also being able to live better and more peaceful lives, like being having a peace of mind about themselves. Because here's the thing: is that you are a very big influence. Like I said, you got millions of followers on Twitter. You got millions of subscribers on YouTube. Use your influence for good. And I feel like that if this right here is with good intention, then I feel like that this is something that can go very, very far. And if this is the case, if this is something that you're doing out of the goodness of your heart to support people, then you've got nothing but my utmost support and respect for this. Now, with all that being said, I guess that kind of makes me think a little bit about how I came off earlier when it came to me responding as in much earlier throughout the day. I will say that the fuel and the fire behind my statements, definitely could have toned it down a little bit. I was upset, and hopefully you guys understand why. So with that being said, guys, I apologize for the random jump cut there. But, I just kind of wanted to end things off here by, just kind of slowly scrolling through some of these tweets right here in response to, what he had said earlier, I just want to say that, if this right here was, a way to kind of stir the pot, so to speak, doing it in this way right here, I definitely think it could have went off a lot better than what it did. If you really wanted to spark a lot of engagement and spark a lot of attention and awareness to things like mental illness, there's a much better way to go about it. But I am glad that, you deleted the tweet earlier and you kind of realized, like, hey, maybe I did kind of fuck up a little bit by saying what I said. This video right here that's, playing in mute, I just want to say that if, like I said, if you are in fact serious about making a documentary on, mental illness like social anxiety, for example, I will gladly take part in it. I'll put my heart and my soul into it because this is something that, could mean a great deal to me if this right here falls through in a positive manner. And, one final thing, actually, if we can actually be afforded to, let's go back to my notifications here for a second. So I just kind of want to highlight this tweet right here. That, shout out to my friend Crafty Kekleon. He's been a long-time follower, a long-time supporter. Shout out to you. I appreciate you, I guess you could say, talking a little bit of sense here in this situation, trying to, make me think a little bit differently, a little bit more expansively, so to speak, He says, and I quote, "I think Keemstar was trying to exaggerate the fact that a good chunk of people online use their mental illness as a way to be on a high horse and avoid criticism, and I've seen that happen. Not to defend Keemstar, but I think this was a misunderstanding of the intent." And if we go back earlier to when I mentioned intent versus impact, if it doesn't matter so much if the intent is good, it's the impact. If the impact is bad, then what your intent is at that point is pretty much irrelevant unless you do heavy damage control. Now, I will touch on this point here real quick now that we're on this subject. Anybody who fakes a mental illness, that in itself, you need to seek a lot of help, because if you think it's hilarious, if you think it's funny, it's like, haha, good times to fake having a mental illness and, take the piss out of others for having mental illness, you need help. And I hope and pray that you do get help, and that way you can actually learn to be a better person with more of an open mind to the fact that mental illness is a very real and surprisingly, but then again, at the same time, not surprisingly, a very common thing. Because you never know, okay? There are people out there that probably aren't even aware of the fact that some way, shape, or form, they have an illness that they're not aware of, And there are people out there that, genuinely have, nothing to them, They're completely fine. But the thing is that, just because of the fact that it is a very common thing, that doesn't make it quote-unquote normal, And again, it's like, for those of you guys out there that, want to suddenly fake having an illness just, to fit a trend, if you think that it's trendy to have a disability, you need to get your head examined. I'm sorry if that sounds harsh, but it's the reality of the situation, because nobody in the right mind or heart would ever fake an illness, would ever think that it's okay to flash around their illness like it's something that, because I have this, and this, I should be on a high horse and I should get, the whole world to bow to me and stuff like that. No, that's not it at all. Take me again for an example. Just because I have a disability, that doesn't mean I should be treated any differently from all of you. In fact, I want you guys to treat me the same. I want you guys to keep on treating me the exact same, like you would treat Jane Doe or Joe Blow kind of thing, I want you guys to treat me like an average human being, If I do something right, tell me I do something right. If I do something wrong, tell me I do something wrong. Be an adult, be respectful about it. Plain and simple. Just like you would do with anybody else.